Hello and welcome to another episode of Peripod. In this week's episode I chat to Wales international, current West Bromwich Albion striker in the Premiership, Thomas Robson-Kanu. We don't just talk about the beautiful game, however, we also talk about Thomas's ventures outside of sport and into his launch of the Turmeric Co. The Turmeric Co.'s products are quickly becoming the gold standard for individuals who are searching for products that can positively impact their holistic health, with each ingredient selected offering extraordinary nutritional value. Thomas tells us what it's like to be a Premiership footballer, Welsh international, what it's like to put Marouane Fellaini in his back pocket from that famous goal at Euro 2016, but we also get a great insight into what it's like being the founder of the Turmeric Co., why he set up the Turmeric Co., through adversity, through injury, but more importantly, through necessity. He wanted to elongate his career, and you can find out more about it if you keep listening. So thank you for agreeing to come on Peripod and chat a little bit about the Turmeric Co. and I guess it's part and parcel of your life now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, firstly, obviously, thank you for being an ambassador of the Turmeric Co. We're delighted to have people such as yourselves, invested in what we're doing, which is, to offer a healthy, natural solution, that can help people with their daily health and various ailments. So really pleased to have you on board.
Well, thank you. It's definitely making a massive difference into my training and recovery. But speaking about how it became part of your life, I want to chat a little bit about setbacks. And I think at this moment in time, that's quite relevant for a lot of people and what they're going through. And, for you as a young footballer, you went through some serious injuries, which led you to obviously discovering the benefits of turmeric. But I guess at the time you didn't really maybe fully understand the sort of longevity that this product was going to have in your life. So if you wouldn't mind, can you sort of tell the listeners a little bit about those setbacks that you went through as a young footballer? And then, going through these sort of chronic aches and pains and being put on prescription drugs before finally, actually, I've got my mind made up, I'm going to be a footballer, I need a solution, and you went out and found it.
Yeah, definitely. At the age of 17, I was having, several pills a day, which were prescribed to me by the doctor. And that was because I had, over the previous 2 years, had two major knee reconstructions, which, not playing football as a, young kid, a teenager for 2.5 years, is hard enough. But given the impact of those injuries, the surgeon said that I probably wouldn't play to the level that I had anticipated playing at, and I certainly wouldn't play without any form of restriction for the rest of my career and rest of my life, really. And it was I didn't really fully take it on board and understand what he meant until I got back playing at 17 years of age. And literally every time I went and did a run, any time I was active, I would just experience severe discomfort. And especially after exercise, I'd have just constant throbbing. My knee would swell up like a balloon. And it was a really difficult time because at that age, you have no real idea if you're going to be sort of good enough to make it and forge a career in what is such a competitive industry, in the industry of football. So it was a very difficult time. And as I said, I was taking a lot of medication, which eventually over a couple of months, my body just began having adverse effects to. It was just rejecting it. So I started passing blood in my urine. I had severe nausea, couldn't sleep. And it came to a point where I had to stop taking this medication, which was taking the edge off the pain. But at the same time, I was, still experiencing, severe discomfort. So it was at that time where our families and myself and my father, we began looking into natural, remedies, natural ingredients that wouldn't have adverse effects, to my body, but at the same time would help with my recovery and my overall health. And it was then when we began coming across, things like pomegranate, pineapple, watermelon, ginger, and then turmeric. All raw, fresh ingredients, and a lot of the research that we found, and we were looking at really emphasize the importance of having it in its raw, natural form. So not powder, not capsules. So it was basically about getting these blends into my diet and having it in a convenient and palatable form. And after a couple of weeks of trial and error, my dad created what is now, the turmeric shot, and the original hasn't changed too much from what it was then. And I remember the first time I took it, it was really just knocked my socks off. Like I hadn't had anything that sort of rich and potent and raw. You could really taste the the earthy feel of it. And so at the time, it was like, well, there's no other options for me, so I just committed to having it. And literally 2-3 times a day, I'd have this blend, in a small little cup. And after a few weeks, I sort of began noticing a bit of a difference, a little bit more energy and sort of less aches and pains and stiffness after training. But it was only around the 6-week mark where I got out of bed, went into the bathroom and got into the shower and turned the shower on and realised that was the first time that I had woken up in 2.5 years without experiencing pain. And it was sort of a light bulb moment for me, really, because up until that point, I hadn't really acknowledged the impact that nutrition and what you eat can have on your body and your overall health. And from that moment onwards, they've effectively been my secret weapon, and I've had them, pretty much every single day since. And I've noticed that I recover quicker than my teammates, and I'd have, wouldn't get run down as easily. And then, over a period of time, my teammates would sort of see me having this sort of little shot in a sort of a small bottle, reused bottle, and they'd be like, well, what is that? And I'd just say, it's just a, turmeric shot blend that, we have. And they were like, can I try some? And give them to my teammates, and they'd be like, well, what was that? Come in the next day, they'd be like, can I have some more of it, please? So, after a few years, a lot of my teammates were using it, and then our wider family, if they had sort of aches and pains or feeling run down, would give it to them. And, they all, reported the same thing, which was, they really did have a positive impact on overall health. And it was, a decade later, really, I was in Harrods and I saw what was a turmeric shot, marketed as a turmeric shot on the shelf. And I was like, wow, I was like, finally, someone's, done this, brought this product to market, have realized the benefits that, turmeric in a natural form can have. So bought the, a number of the shots off the shelf, took them home to my family, and we all went to drink it at the same time, and we all spat it out. We couldn't believe how inferior it was to what we were making at home. It was watered down, it was made of apple juice. They were using turmeric powder, which obviously, is not the raw turmeric, which is what you want into your diet. And it was at that moment where we were just like, wow, like what we're creating at home is just so far superior to what's on the market, and to the best available option on the market. So we did some research into the turmeric shot market and the health shot category in the beverage industry, and realized that fundamentally there was little functional value from the majority of the products on offer. And we realized that people were looking at turmeric as a natural form to support their overall health. And fundamentally, what was on the market wasn't giving them that functional value. It was just marketed as a turmeric shot or a health shot. So it was at that point where we just, decided we've got to bring this product that we've been making at home, for over a decade to market. And, it started a journey where we looked into building a bespoke production facility, to produce the high quality shots that we obviously were making at home. We looked into, how to run a business operationally, delivering a fresh, natural, chilled product to people throughout the UK. And we built a team, and 2 years later we launched Turmeric Co. And from then, 2018, we've really just gone from strength to strength. as more people look towards natural nutrition as a means to support overall health.
Brilliant, yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's been sort of, I mean, it was found out of necessity, wasn't it? You know, it was something that you needed in your life in order to get to the level that you wanted to get to. You know, you found it worked not only for yourself, but family and friends, and then you thought, right, let's see if we can help everyone. But I love that you really hammered home the fact that it's raw and natural ingredients, you know, because I've found that, especially around, you know, athletes and people that obviously train every day for a living, that there can sometimes be a misconception of that, you know, that this process to physical health is all about going to the gym, putting in a workout, you know, training really hard at your sport, and then popping a protein shake at the end of the day because it says it's going to give you this benefit and it's going to do this and it's going to do that. Whereas actually, you're going to get much more benefits from raw natural ingredients, you know, that you've shown through the Turmeric Co. And, you know, you've done the research. You've not just stuck a label on that says, this is going to make you great and hope that people buy into it. You know, you've bought into it yourself. You've, you know, backed it through your own means and your teammates at various clubs and obviously friends and family, you know, and that must give you an incredible sense of pride when you see your product on the shelf. From the moment of launch, the Turmeric Co.'s primary goal was to help fulfil the lives of its customers through its high quality, effective yet natural turmeric-based shots. A range of proprietary blends in a shot format offers a convenient solution for people using turmeric as a regular part of their nutrition. No powders and no low quality filler ingredients such as apple juice or water. Only premium, raw and absorbable turmeric root is used in every shot, with a combination of other superfood ingredients, making the range an effective yet delicious option for people to support their daily health through natural nutrition.
Yeah, definitely. It's and it's a passion that drives, you know, not only me but everyone within the team. We've got over 5,000, you know, 5-star customer reviews of, you know, our customers reporting just, you know, fantastic benefits to having used the product on a regular basis. And you know, reading those reviews really just spurs us on to reach more and more people. Because as we said, I think, you know, the old system and the old models around sort of health, nutrition and wellness are certainly changing. And I think it's because we're very much in the information age. You know, people are understanding more the impact of nutrition, but also more importantly, the impact of having a natural, clean diet. You know, everyone likes to indulge themselves, you know, every now and again, and you know, some more often than others, which is, you know, great. But fundamentally, you know, the core nutrition of what you consume on a daily basis does have an impact on your, you know, on your body, and that's something which, you know, we're massive advocates of, and we're building an incredibly engaged and growing community around, and it's a really strong and powerful message.
And I think something else that's really strong and powerful is actually the product itself, because I'll be honest, I was a skeptic. I thought it's just going to be another thing on the market that you can try it and it might work, because I've always, you know, for as long as I can remember, due to having one leg, my good leg has always been aches and pains and inflammation, soreness, tiredness, because just the natural overload that it has to go through, you know, and carry me around all day, every day. And then, you know, I started taking the turmeric shots, and, you know, after a couple of weeks, these aches and pains were gone. And I was always told by physios and doctors that, yeah, you'll always be a bit sore because you've got one leg and it's doing all the work. Whereas no one had ever once recommended, why don't you try some root vegetables and a bit of pineapple juice and you'll be all right. And so for me, having that has made such a massive impact for me, because, you know, as you said, a lot of people still aren't fully aware of the benefits of going natural, you know, and doing things the way that it was intended to. It's not chemicals lugged together in a manufacturing plant that's sold at mass production. It's something that was created in your kitchen for the want of feeling better so you can go out and play football. And I completely love that message, you know, and the fact that it does have such positive impacts, you know, on for me and yourself in particular, our knees, you know, something that is we take for granted. As you said, you got out of bed, walked, put on the shower, and it just clicked. You were like, this isn't sore anymore. This doesn't hurt, you know, and that's the way life should be. And, you know, I think that's just fantastic to be able to create such a product. One thing that I need to settle, and it's for personal preference. I need to know: do you go by Thomas? Do you go by Hal? Because you look at everything on football, and it's Hal Robson-Kanu, and you look at everything for the Turmeric Co, and it's Thomas. And what do you prefer?
Well, my actual name is my birth name is Thomas Henry. So Hal isn't actually my birth name. Hal is actually a pet name which my grandmother used to call me. Obviously, as a really small kid. And it sort of just, sort of stuck, and it was more like a nickname. And then I ended up getting into football very young. So, I signed for Arsenal at 10, and it was like, what's your name? And I was just like, rather than having to write out Thomas, I was just like, Hal, just write it down and get on with it. And then, sort of 5 years later, 6 years later, I was, sort of making a few headlines, and then it was like, oh, well, Hal Robson-Kanu. And I was like, that's not actually my name. My name's Thomas Henry, but it just stuck. And so I think in the football world, everyone sort of obviously refers to me as Hal, but my birth name and sort of my parents' name is Thomas. So yeah, it is quite funny.
So we're going for Thomas, and for everyone that's listening, it's Thomas.
Yeah, well, that is my name. Yeah, it's.
Right, that's fantastic. So you said you signed for Arsenal. I know that you played for you played for Reading and obviously currently West Brom. But what was it like winning the championship? Like, what's that feeling?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal experience, and I think when you achieve things like that, you really do sort of remember your journey and sort of what it took to get there. So it sort of reminds you that hard work can pay off, and whatever you're working towards, however big or small the project is, if you apply yourself in the correct manner and you show the level of dedication and discipline required, you can achieve it. And it's certainly a very special experience. And as we said, football is such a competitive industry. It's harder to become a professional footballer than it is to get into Oxford or Cambridge, combined. And it's when you look at sort of stats around, kids who play football, sort of 80% of young boys, and now obviously young girls, the percentage is growing as well, want to become professional footballers. And when you actually break it down, the amount that actually do get to fulfill their dreams is so minuscule, and it's a massive privilege, but it's something which has a lot of hard work has gone into, and a lot of tears, a lot of sacrifices. And as we said, if it wasn't for the Turmeric Co, no one would probably know the journey that I went on to become a professional footballer, and the adversity which I had to face. And coming through that, it certainly helped shape and form me and my character, and really understand that you can achieve things if you really do set your mind to it.
So talking about journeys and achievements, what is your ambitions then for the Turmeric Co moving forward? Are we talking global, international expansion?
Well, that's quite it's a big ask, that, but we're growing very fast, and our real goal is just to continue to deliver the high quality product that we deliver on a daily basis. And I think fundamentally that's what our sort of North Star is. That's our goal, because we know if we continue to deliver the product and get the product into people's hands in all different walks of life, we're really going to be making an impact on those people, and helping shape and form the way that we as a society view nutrition and health and wellness. And it's really fascinating. We obviously supply some of the top athletes in the world, and we supply several Premier League football teams. We supply international rugby teams with our range. We work with elite sports nutritionists. But when you actually break down our customer base online, so customers who subscribe with us, we have a massive amount of customers who are 35 and 45 plus, male and female. And so what that really tells us is that people in all different walks of life are using the range and are beginning to understand the impact of it and feeling a value. So it's really interesting, and from our perspective, it's great to see. So yeah, I think international expansion, turning it into a global brand, if the opportunity does arise, then it's something we'd love to do. But fundamentally, we just we're focusing on delivering, what is the best, health shot drink range on the market.
Brilliant. Now, you mentioned obviously going through, it's a goal-orientated process, and it's tackling that little bit at a time, what comes in front of you. You can't just sit up in your kitchen and go, we're going to take over the world. It's all about those small little steps and small little goals. But speaking loosely in terms of goals, there's one that I want to talk about, and you probably know the one that I'm going to mention, and it was your goal for Wales against Belgium at the Euros. And it's such a spectacular goal. It was nominated for Goal of the Year, and I just you received that ball, you've turned round, and you've sent 3 defenders the wrong way. And for someone that is a Man U fan, and I know he's not there anymore, but how long did you have Marouane Fellaini in your pocket for? Because he was gone. He was absolutely gone, and it was such a fantastic goal. So what's going through your head on the big stage in these massive competitions? You turn defenders inside out and you get the job done, you stick it in the back of the net. What's that like? Because as you said, it's easier to go to Oxford and Cambridge than it is to be a professional footballer, never mind play at European Championships and score one of the best goals of the tournament.
Yeah, it was it was a phenomenal moment for obviously myself and for the team, and more importantly for the nation. And looking back, it was, to be honest, I didn't really realise sort of the impact that goal would have on so many people, even till after the game, because the whole our whole focus was simply on beating Belgium. And I think Belgium at the time were ranked either number 1 or number 2 in the world. And their starting 11, I think their value of the starting 11 was something like £500 million. And so for us, it was really just, how can we get over the line and beat this team who are, obviously one of the best teams in the world and on such a big stage. And we were just so committed, as a collective group to achieving that. It was almost like the goal internally really just didn't matter. So I didn't really, think anything of it. It was only until after the game where, we're obviously all delighted, all of the boys together in the changing room, and a few of the boys have got Twitter up, and, the goal had been viewed like, a million times already. And it was like, oh, okay, well, it must have been a good goal. Like I just thought, I was just in the box, try and find half a yard and get a shot off. And that was sort of what my thought process was. And, it was sort of just, when you're playing football, it's like the more you can, feel like you are a kid again and you're just enjoying it, the better you're going to play and the more success you're going to have. And it was really just that, I'd done that so many times as a kid growing up in, high school, and, playing in the playground and, playing in county championships. And, it was more just, that's what it felt like. So it was just obviously different because, quite a large amount of the global population was watching. So.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, I know you had a lot of support up north, this side of the border. As many Scots would do, we're not going to overly support England at a major championship. Okay, we've just qualified for one ourselves for the first time in a long time, but you definitely had a lot of support for Wales from up here. So when that goal went in, a lot of guys up here were celebrating. But do you feel more prepared going into, say, a European Championship or even a Premiership game at the weekend, knowing that your body's in check because of the turmeric coat?
100%. And, people won't realise that 2 days before I'd had a, parcel delivered, sent from London, where my dad was, to France. And it was a, sort of 28 shot box of turmeric shots. So, it's a massive part, and nutrition obviously plays a key role in any form of activity, let alone elite physical sport. And knowing that you're able to care for your body in that way is vital. I think that's a big reason why a lot of the top nutritionists in the country for a number of different teams are really looking at the product now and distributing it, throughout their players, and the impact and the response that the players are giving is fantastic, and is sort of what I've been feeling for that whole period of when I've been taking them just on myself. So yeah, it does make a massive difference.
Yeah, I mean, you said so that box gets dropped off, 2 days before, and you go into the dressing room, whatever. You get a box of 28 under your arm. Is it like a secret stash? Are you giving them out to all the boys? Like, come on, get them in you, and I'll get fired up for this match, or is it very silly?
Yeah, at the time they were in high demand, and we didn't have a large supply, so I had to be selective with who I gave them to. So a few of the boys got one, but yeah, it was more just making sure that I was in a good physical condition for the game, and they certainly helped.
Right. So, what's your favourite flavour?
So my favourite flavour is the turmeric and ginger one. It's certainly the most, from my perspective as a sportsman, the most potent. The turmeric and beetroot one is really good in and around activity, so I traditionally have that around training. But for general recovery, day to day, consumption, the turmeric and ginger one is my favourite. Yeah.
I completely agree, and I love that you said the word potent. I would maybe use another word that's a bit more, shall we say, explosive. I would say, the ginger one, for me, it is like a little fireball. It just, so it's so good. It's so good, and it feels like I've actually sort of woken up my senses a little bit as well. It's fun. Yeah. Is that something that has become a bit habitual for yourself? Is it a morning shot with your espresso, or is it, you take them at periodic times throughout the day depending on your schedule? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I'll have a turmeric shot as soon as I wake up. So I'll have the turmeric and ginger one first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Starts my day right. If I'm feeling like an espresso as well, I'll have that sort of half an hour later. And then, sort of have breakfast an hour after that. And then after a really intense training day, I'll then have a turmeric and beetroot shot after training, and then really set for the day. And it's just such a convenient and easy way to consume them. It's having them like this, and it is just ideal. And I'm very fortunate. It was I do feel very privileged to be able to just have them how I have them now, and all the access that I've got to them, because they do still make a massive difference to my day-to-day health and well-being.
Right, and as you said, that's become your morning habit and routine. Are you a bit of a superstitious guy when it comes to your preparation for matches? Is it something, are you on the Rafa Nadal level of superstition where things have to be pinpoint or exact, or are you more laid back? As long as you got a shot in your kit bag, you're going to be all right?
Yeah, I'd say the only thing that I'm superstitious about is not being superstitious. So one of my early managers said that to me, and it kind of stuck, because you can get sort of locked in a trap, and sort of trying to find and search for answers, and actually just having that level of freedom and being able to enjoy the moment is key, really. So yeah.
And I think it's great that you said enjoying the moment. It's something that in this period of time that we've been in for the last 7 or 8 months has been very difficult for a lot of people. And is that something that you've found been challenging, is enjoying the little moments, especially when the likes of seasons getting cancelled early and things like that, and training maybe not being what it is? What has it been like for you?
Obviously it's been difficult, and I think for everyone going through that lockdown period, it was a really difficult time. But the big thing was coming back into training, and being able to be active again. That made a significant difference. And after that, now being at least from a professional level, we're still playing and we're still training, and the games are being streamed, and it'd be great to have fans back into the stadium. So I think it's certainly a difficult time for a lot of people, but just enjoying those little things and is key.
Yeah, I think that's a great message, enjoying the little things. Speaking of fans, just quickly, what is it like walking out in front of a stadium of 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people just screaming? Is it just absolute carnage, or is it, the sort of the focus comes in and you just zone in on the ball? What's that like?
It's. I think when you're younger, you probably pay attention to it a little bit more because it's new and it's different. But I think once you get your head around it as a young professional, you sort of kind of sort of play and express yourselves without caring too much about the atmosphere or the fans. But I think the biggest thing that you want to do as a young professional is again enjoying that moment of playing in front of so many people, because you've wanted to do that from when you were a kid, and being able to do it and express yourself, and it really does make a significant difference to the performance. So
Yeah, brilliant. And as a football fan yourself, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. Do you have a favourite footballer?
Well, when I was a kid, my favourite footballer was R9, so the original Ronaldo. So he's probably, he was a big inspiration of mine growing up and watching his games, particularly when he was in Italy. So he'd be my favourite.
No, I think I've got to agree there. I think the original Brazilian Ronaldo is just definitely one of a kind, that's for sure. And final question, because I don't want to keep you too long. You've been absolutely fantastic with your time. Are you any good at table tennis?
I've had a dabble in my career, so we've had a few table tennis tables at a few of our training grounds in the past. And it did get quite competitive at one point, but I haven't played it in a few years, to be honest. But I could certainly stand my own in a game.
Maybe we'll have to set that up one day. We can have I can make a long trip down to West Brom and we can have a hit around. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, sounds good.
Brilliant. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and hopefully we can spread the word of the Turmeric Co and the benefits that these shots can provide far and wide on this podcast. And, we can go from there and make sure we improve the health and well-being of not just elite athletes, but everyone. These shots are incredible. They're such a powerful, natural tool, that can be utilised in so many ways. And, you've expressed that fantastically. Your passion for this company and this project that you're running in order to try and help people and improve their well-being is absolutely incredible. So I just want to say thank you again for sharing this message. Thank you for the incredible products, and hopefully you can get back to scoring goals soon. I know you're struggling at the moment with a bit of an arm injury. How's that healing up? Is it getting there?
Yeah, it's good. So I've featured last week at Old Trafford and played in our win on Saturday. So it was, I don't know if you can see the scar, but I've had a metal plate inserted. So it normally takes 12 weeks to recover, but I was back in 6. So Yeah, and no painkillers and all of that. So it's I think it's another tribute to it. So as I said, really just fortunate, to have that available to me.
Right. Is there any final messages you'd like to share about Turmeric Co?
No, I think I've covered everything. I think, as I said, it's a massive privilege for not only myself but the whole team behind the business, and really spreading that message and seeing the impact that it's having on people. And I think once people try the range, I think they realise for themselves. And from our perspective, it's just around education and spreading the message far and wide, which is what we're doing. And we've got a great team and some really great partnerships and work that we do with people such as yourself as our ambassadors. And it really does go a long way. And I think the impact of word of mouth and spreading that message is is a really powerful tool, and something which we're enjoying doing.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Well, Thomas, thanks again for your time this evening. It's been absolutely great, and I can't wait to share this week's episode of Peripod.
Perfect. Thank you very much, I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Take care. That's another episode of Peripod in the bag. I really enjoyed interviewing Thomas, finding out what it takes to be an elite footballer, getting a much more in-depth feel about what it's like running the Turmeric Co, why he started it, and what his ambitions are for the future for that company. Thanks to this sponsor, the Turmeric Co, Peripod can now proudly say that it is powered by the Turmeric Co. Make sure you use code PERRY10 at checkout, and you can save yourself a little bit of money and reap all the rewards.